What's up, guys? I'm Mighty Mike.
I'm Chris Noon.
And welcome to another exciting episode of Rockstar News,
the podcast.
And today we're going to be discussing financial literacy, holiday blues when it comes to money, and all that awesome good stuff. I hope you guys have been doing well. Hope you've been enjoying your holidays. I have.
I definitely have. I had 3 Thanksgivings this year. I was a lucky man.
So yeah, I think a lot of people face that same similar situation where like you end up having like a office party.
Yep.
Then you end up going
That was
to
one.
Yeah, that's one. Then you end up going to like a if you
have a significant other,
then you have multiple.
Yep.
So you end up going to their place, and then you end up going to your place.
And then at the end of the day, you are in 3 days worth of coma from turkey.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess the fourth Thanksgiving meal is
Yes.
always the is always the leftovers.
The leftovers, yes.
Yeah,
the
always
leftovers are always
there,
so good.
just chilling there.
Absolutely love the leftovers.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about financial literacy. But more importantly, if you guys have any questions whatsoever when it comes to buying a house, selling a house, real estate investing,
Hit us up.
Yeah, hit us up in the comment section
We're
below.
free for questions.
Yeah, so we're going to be here for about 30 minutes ish, depending on, how much content we have. But at the end of the day, the reason why we're creating this show is so that you guys have an opportunity to sit down with us, discuss anything when it comes to finances, entrepreneurship.
And we're not experts by any chance, just so you know.
Oh, no, we are experts. He's just being humble. No, just kidding. But the point is that, like, between the two of us, I've been kind of self-employed for the last 10 years or so.
I've been self-employed for the last 4.5.
Yeah, 4.5 years. So between both of us, we have about 14 years of entrepreneurship and business owner experience. So if you guys are thinking about getting possibly into the real estate market or real estate yourself as an agent or some
Just
other capacity, entrepreneurship in general, hit us up. We've been through a ton of stuff when it comes to finances. We know the struggle.
We have ridden that bus time and time.
Yeah, like a bunch of times we've been down that path. So if you guys are interested in talking to us and discussing that, go ahead and hit us up, and we will more than gladly answer all your questions. All right. Yeah. All right. So I don't know about you, but did you go shopping at all?
No, I avoid that, man. I do not go Black Friday shopping. I worked for Black Friday shopping, not as but as valet. So when I was back in the day, I did valet. I worked at the Florida Mall and then the Mall Millennia. And then later that night, I worked downtown. So I was at Florida Mall Thursday night around 11:30, Florida Mall. Was there till about 11 o'clock the next morning. And then from there, I went straight over to Mall at Millennia. And I worked until about like 6 o'clock.
Oh, that's miserable.
And then I went home. I went home, took like a 3-4 hour power nap, and then I went to work downtown.
Yeah, the only time I ever worked Black Friday is when and this is how old you can tell I am. During Circuit City, when Circuit City was around, it was a thing. I worked in the computer section. And it was like the only time I've ever worked Black Friday, and it was the most miserable experience.
It is a miserable experience.
I've ever
if
had.
You're an employee and you're stuck there working, yeah, you're getting time and a half, hopefully, but you're.
Oh no, yeah, I was getting time
horrible.
and a half off of like $8 an hour, but the thing is that I was there for 18 hours.
Yeah, man.
It was miserable and it wasn't even just like the time sitting there working with people for 18 hours. It was also the fact that there was no real coordination between the management and corporate. So we had like people who were coming in. Like, this is one of the horror stories. So I was working in the computer section.
Right.
And we had these people come in because there's a flyer that says, hey, there's a certain computer that you're going to get a great deal on. Come in and get it. So these people like lined up. And I knew how much we had in our inventory. So literally like the people who lined up for it. And when it finally got to that break, I'm like, hey, look, just to let you know that everybody in front of you who's getting this has the voucher. Anything past this, we're not going to have any more inventory. So people are like, I was like, I'm sorry, blah, blah. So I was
Anybody get mad at that?
Oh, yeah, tons. They were just like, oh, we wouldn't waiting all night to get it.
Why didn't you tell us?
Yeah, why didn't you tell us? It's like, well, I didn't know. Yeah. But that's not the horror part of the story.
Oh boy.
So literally I'm sitting there and just talking to people, ringing people up and all stuff like this. And then I go to like look into like our, computer system to see like how much we have left. We have 0. what corporate didn't tell us is that, oh, by the way, we're also going to be selling the same computers online. And so literally after I told all these people, like, if you have a voucher, you're going to get your computer, you're good to go. We sold all the computers online. So people like who've been waiting in line like all day long, they literally were beaten up by somebody who woke up, put on like some clothes, went to the computer, was like, check out, done.
Oh my God. So the whole computer everyone was waiting for was only sold online.
Yeah, it was sold online and in person, but it was like snapped up quickly. And like, so everybody who's been waiting there, and I have to deal with them personally, they weren't happy.
Oh my God,
you know,
corporate, you bastards.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason why Circuit City went out of business.
That's exactly why Circuit City went out of business.
But no, yeah, it was rough. If you guys have any stories about working Black Friday, go ahead and leave in the comments down below because, it's they're not fun. But yeah, some stats for you guys as far as like Black Friday goes. About 86% of Americans are going to be heading out and hunting for some deals on Black Friday, or at least this past year or this past week. Research shows that although 12% more Americans are planning to partake in 2019 pre-Christmas sales, and here's the thing about Black Friday: it's technically like Black Month. You know, like it's.
Oh yeah, some people start Black Friday sales like a week before.
Yeah, a week before, and it just carries on until like Christmas time. Yeah. So research shows that about 12% more Americans are going to take part in 2019 shopping than they did in 2018. But Americans actually spending less. They're spending about $3 billion less. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If it's people kind of like, hey, we shouldn't spend so much money on a bunch of frivolous nonsense.
Yeah, I wonder how many people go in debt. I wonder if there's a stat on that.
Yeah, I hope they don't.
Oh, I imagine.
But they're expected to drop per adult about $400 or roughly $87 billion altogether on Black Friday or Black Friday past, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm actually Googling it right now. I am so curious on that stat. Like how many people go into debt?
Yeah, and actually the best Black Friday deals, surprisingly, are not on Black Friday. Many retailers, including Amazon, offer deals earlier and earlier, upstaging Black Friday itself. The competition this year is going to be fierce. Stores also having innovative ways to, basically get your dollar. Credit card loans are over the amount of debt that people are in credit card debt is over $1 trillion. Oh
my God!
Yeah. So if you guys are going out and
people
you're purchasing.
Suck.
If you guys are going out and you're purchasing consumer goods via credit card, that's probably a really bad idea. And one of the things that a lot of people don't really know when it comes to Black Friday and the particular items they're selling, you always look at the serial number or the item number on the product, because you're literally getting an inferior product, and that's the reason why.
It's true, and it's absolutely true. It's like they actually have computers or TVs that are made particularly or specifically for Black Friday. It's like they have the real item, and then they have a mock item that they're selling for Black Friday for cheaper, but the components inside are completely different.
Yeah, they're completely different. They're inferior products, and they're giving you a
deal
discount.
They're giving you market value.
Yeah, they're giving you market value for what you're getting, but they're getting you into the door so you can buy other things. The other thing is, I won't name the retail store that I work with
because you still work with it.
No, I don't. They're gone. But in particular, like, and I'm not saying all stores do this, so don't quote me on this one. But when I used to work at a retail store that I just finished talking about, we would raise prices the week prior to Black Friday by like a couple of cents. And it wasn't like a huge markup. It was like 2-3 cents.
But those couple cents add up, that compound.
And so literally, like, we would, like, the 2 days prior to Black Friday, we would get the new sales stickers. And then they'll be 2-3 cents lower. So they were on sale. So like a lot of, like, so we could sit there and have like a whole wall and all the stickers would be like sale, 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 sale. And then they're only 2-3 cents lower than what they actually are. And so it's just like, yeah, everybody's trying to scam you out there, trying to get you to come into the door, buy $25 USB cables for your printer. So you got to be careful about that. Don't go into debt for things that are not going to be, just consumer goods. If you're not going to use it, it's not going to generate assets. I think if you're going to go into debt for something, that debt should generate you income and pay for itself. And that's one of the things we are definitely going to be focusing on this podcast, is talk about real estate investing. I think real estate investing is probably one of the best ways. I'm not saying it's the easiest way, but it is one of the best ways to generate wealth. And especially if you're looking for a passive income and you're looking to become financially independent, having rental properties. And I'm talking about flipping. Flipping's a completely different thing. I'm talking about having rental properties that are continuously generating income for you for a long period of time. So that's something that you definitely want to check out. And if you have any questions about investing, go ahead and hit us up as well. So all you have to do is go to the, the chat box, the comment section, and leave a comment. I'll go ahead and do that now.
It should work.
Oh, and I misspelled it.
Why would you do that, sir?
Anyways, so yeah, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below so we can talk with you guys. And Chris has it on his channel. So if you guys have
so if you have any questions, I'll be able to respond and address it right here pretty quickly.
All right. So for you, Chris,
yeah,
when it comes to working with investors, what do you think is the biggest challenges that they face?
The biggest challenges that they face is honestly emotional versus numbers.
Oh my God. I think, yeah, that's a huge one.
I think that is the number one thing, is that investors can't seem to differentiate or have a hard time separating their emotion attachment to a home versus what the numbers say.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the area is not good. It's like, but the numbers make sense, right? Yeah, but the area is not good. It's just like, okay, so you're an investor, right? Yeah. Numbers matter more, right? Yeah. So, but you're telling me the numbers make sense, but you don't want it because you don't like the area of the home. Are you living in it? Are you flipping it, right? It's like, yeah. It's like, so what should it matter to you?
Yeah, as long as the numbers support it. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Like, here's the thing. If you want to make money, you're going to have to go places where other people are afraid to go. And if you're looking for investment properties, the number one focus is just simply the numbers. If you happen to go, like, there's a certain neighborhood, I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to offend anybody, but there's a certain neighborhood here in Central Florida that gets a bad rap.
There's a lot of neighborhoods.
There's a lot of neighborhoods, but there's a number one, like, it's off of East Colonial.
You say too much.
I said too much. But it gets a bad rap for whatever particular reason, and a lot of times the numbers don't support the stats don't support what a lot of people's opinions of the area is. And so when I take investors out there, one of the biggest things I have to face is like, hey, look, I looked at the comps.
Their biasness.
Yes, absolutely. Their biasness. It's like, look, we looked at the numbers, and the numbers show that there's been several properties in this neighborhood that have been flipped and turned around and sold for a profit. Do you want to buy this house? Oh, I don't like the neighborhood. It doesn't matter. Like, if you're going to sit there and say, I don't like the neighborhood, and you're going to try to find a neighborhood that you do like.
With the same price? Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, good luck. You're going to spend way, way more money when it comes to that property, and you're going to make less when it comes to profits.
Yes.
You have to remove the emotions when it comes to investing.
Yes. You have to be cold. It has to, that's how business grows. Like, unfortunately, you have to be cold. You have to look at the numbers.
Yeah, like, you have to sit there and look at it from as a business person, just like I said, just as a robot. Like, hey, if I buy this house at $150,000, I put 30 grand into it for rehab, and I'm going to flip it. Could I sell it to make a profit back? And if the answer is yes, and if it's the right profit margin for you, then proceed ahead. Yeah. And you have comps. Yeah,
absolutely proceed. And then once you have enough of that larger, money into your pocket, go and buy that bigger home. That's in that nicer neighborhood. That way you can do it. It's like, but if you can't play to that level and you don't like the margins, then go to an area where the margins do work, because there are plenty of homes in lower areas that have great yielding results.
Yeah, like, the thing is, like, the less favorable the neighborhood is, the more there's going to be profit. Yeah, there may be a little bit of higher risk, but if you're going to, like, look for that perfect neighborhood, you're going to pay perfect prices.
Yeah, you're still paying for the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So you have to completely, as an investor, disconnect your emotion from an investment. Have to.
All right. So what do you say was the biggest challenge second biggest challenge that they face?
The second biggest challenge that they face is coming to terms with reality. Pretty much like, if the numbers say one thing and then the market unfortunately favors a different way.
Like, what do you mean?
So say if, like, the numbers make sense to, hey, you can get this price or around this range, but the home, once it's all done and completed, the home sits on a market longer than it should. And then there's no activity and it becomes stale. So coming to terms with the reality is by reducing the price and taking the loss. So I felt like I had to kind of explain it a little bit.
No, you did good.
Yeah. So like, I feel like coming to terms with the reality and starting to cut your loss, because every day that's on the market is another day of money out of your pocket. You know, electric, water, gas if there is, your expenses, mortgage if you have one, and it's literally eating away every day that home is not. Every day that home is in your possession and not sold is a day of loss of profit.
Yeah.
So you have to calculate that. And if there's the average days on market, you have to look at that for a caliber of that home. And if you have, the moment you exceed it, you need to do a price reduction. You need to come to terms with reality, cut your losses, because that's how businesses survive.
Yeah, I think, okay, so a lot of people assume that, like, when you're a homeowner, they typically have, like, we face this all the time where homeowners think their house is actually worth more than what it actually is. I think there's a lot of emotional investment in that particular property. You know, it's where you raised your kids. It's where you, like, you did your hash marks, how they grew up, you know,
a lot of emotional attachment. Yes.
A lot of emotional attachment to it.
That's different from an investor.
It's different from an investor. So we expect that from a lot of homeowners, and that's something that is a challenge as a real estate agent we have to kind of overcome. But from investors, I see it way too much as well. You know, like, they're emotionally invested in the property. They essentially, it's the gambler's syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, essentially, like, they're too far deep into it to come
we
down.
have to hold on to. We have to hold on. I got to make my money back. It's like, no, cut your losses so you can continue to the next.
Yeah, you're not going to make your money back. And in fact, you're actually losing more money because every month that goes by, you're paying a ton of money.
Yeah, so I think that's the second biggest thing that investors have. They have to come to terms with reality. Cut your losses so you could proceed. You didn't fail. I mean, the more you dig yourself into a hole, unfortunately, the more not so optimistic you are going to be about doing it again.
Yeah.
You know, like, you want it to be 100% good, go, you know, yes, but there is no success without failure.
Yeah, there's no success without the struggle.
There's no success without the struggle. And the only way to eat the elephant is one bite at a time. All right. So you have to cut your losses. And you have to separate yourself emotionally. If you can separate yourself emotionally from a business standpoint, numbers make sense, or the house has been on the market for too long, and you got to come to terms with realities, you're going to have to cut that. You're going to have to cut it, and you're going to have to proceed.
Yeah.
Sell it.
All right. So what do you think was the third biggest challenge that a lot of, like, and this is mainly meant for, like, new investors.
Experienced investors already know this stuff.
Yeah, they
figured this out. They figured it out on their own, or they were told.
Yeah, this is, or they learned it the hard way.
Or they learned it. That's what I said. They figured it out.
They got a few knots on their head. Yeah. All right, so for, like, brand new investors coming in here, what do you think is the third challenge?
Financeability.
Financeability.
Getting the backing.
Oh yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Getting the backing. Getting the backing to have the money is very hard because, unfortunately, not everyone is made of liquid money. Not everyone can buy the house. So it's just like, okay, I have, for instance, $20,000. Okay, if I buy this house or a condo, because I think that's a great starting point for anyone who's an investor. Condos are really cheap. They're really simple to rehab. And you can actually still turn a decent profit for it, in my opinion. So if you don't have a lot of money, therefore you have to put money to put down, take out that loan, and then you're going to have to take out money. Or if you say you have the $20,000, buy a cheap condo, and then use the rest of, say, that $15,000 to renovate the condo, and then sell it.
So I want to touch base on that a little bit later, but because I want to focus on the financeability, what you're saying.
Because not everyone has it, so a lot of people got to get, like, a hard money loan, or ask their cousin, or have people do a joint ventureship, and therefore the cut is going to be smaller, the ROI. Yeah,
like, okay, so if you're looking to flip a house, that is one of the biggest challenges that you're going to face.
Yep.
But one of the things I'd like to advocate to a lot of people is flipping is a hobby. It's not a career.
It's not a career.
It's not a career, and there's tons of people out there. I'm pretty sure there's a
small percentage
who make a decent living doing this. But if you actually want a career, you want to create your own business, buying and holding is where you're going to do that. And then that's where the finances you can become really creative when it comes to financing properties that you're actually going to own and rent out. One of the cool things about buying a house is that if you do an investment property, typically most banks, they're going to require 20% down. You know, so if you're buying,
especially if you declare it as an investment property, you have to.
Yeah. So, but there's workarounds, and we're going to talk about that. All right. So, like I said, you're a first-time investor, and you want to start building your portfolio. think small, and just have the patience. Like, you ever heard of the marshmallow test?
Yes.
Like, where they had the kids and they're like, hey, if you eat this marshmallow,
that's fine. Go ahead. You can have it.
You can have it. But if you wait longer, we'll give you 2. It's the same thing that applies here. A lot of people want to get rich quick, but there's a way that you can start building wealth. And I wish I knew this information when I was in my 20s, because, oh my God. So if you guys are young and are thinking about getting into real estate investing, you could do what I like to call the step stoning. Yeah. So essentially, like, let's say you're brand new into the world. You have let's say you want to buy $100,000 property, but you don't have 20 grand for a down payment plus another 4% for closing costs. So that comes out to be $24,000 that you need in order to close on that property. Let's say you don't have that. So how can you start investing? How can you get a mortgage and get yourself into this game? Well, Stepstone. The first thing that you could do is, you need a place to live yourself. So what you can do is you can actually get an FHA loan for a particular property. And recently, as of October 15th, the FHA made new rules.
They increased it.
So there's
the
more
loan limits.
Yeah. They increased the amount of condos that qualify for FHAs. Yeah.
I missed that part, but I know they increased their limits.
Dude, it's crazy.
Okay, so that's been a big issue for so many people who just want to buy a small condo, but they don't have a lot of money. So they can't go conventional. So the only way they go is FHA. But FHA has so much restrictions on condos and so many loopholes, because you're dealing with an HOA association, and if there's any litigations, it's all threat to the property, and which makes things harder. So the fact that the FHA has allowed more condo developments into their system for financing is beautiful, in my opinion.
For first-time home buyers, it's going to be magical for you guys if you think about getting into condos.
It really is.
For investors, especially the method I'm going to teach you guys, it's going to help you open up a lot of doors. So the stepstoning method is simply this. You get yourself an FHA loan, you purchase yourself a condo, or even a single-family home property, depends on what the numbers are, and you live in it for a year. That's it. Like, you live in it for a year. You have your own place for a year. You pay the first year's mortgage, and then you become homeless and you rent out the property, and now you're homeless and you're just like, I have nowhere to go, so I have to buy another house. And then so you have this FHA loan on this other particular property. They don't care. So now you got to buy another house. So you get another FHA loan and you buy another house for only 3.5% down instead of 20%. And then you live in that house. And here's the great thing about this. This also applies up to 4-unit apartment buildings or like quadplexes. So let's say like you want to kind of rush through the process and you have a little bit more cash to spend. So you get yourself like a duplex or a quadplex and you live in one of the units and it's your residence, and you can get FHA. Anything over 4 units is considered commercial, and you have to get a separate loan package altogether. But if it's up to 4 units or less, you can get an FHA mortgage for 3.5% down, plus on average 4.5% for closing costs and fees. And you just live in one side. And then after a year is over, you just keep doing this. You stepstone 1 stone at a time. And over time, let's say like 10 years to do this, you would have 10 properties under your belt. And you'll have all those mortgages being paid for by all the tenants that you have.
By all the tenants. And the thing is, like, what's really cool as an investor and the opportunity today is, and especially in Florida, is Airbnb.
Yeah, so Airbnb is another option.
If you get, say, even if you are able to do a conventional 3% down on that quadplex, per se, and it's on the coast, you live in one of those units and you Airbnb that sucker. Like for literally all the events that occur, so say like Daytona, you have the International Speedway that so many people travel to go and to watch that race. You have Bike Week all throughout, and you have so many events and festivals over there in Daytona. So Airbnb plus Daytona and Cocoa is just like the number 1 and 2 spots in the world for traveling for beaches.
Yeah.
So if you got a quadplex, Airbnb it, you're literally matching, tripling, quadrupling, keep going your monthly mortgage, and you could pay that sucker off in literally finite number of years.
Oh, so it's a crazy. There's so many things out there that you guys don't know that I've recently come across in the last like 4.5, 5 years that I've been in real estate that I wish I knew when I was young. I'm turning 35 next month, so wish me happy birthday.
Where's that?
Yeah. Oh.
That's awesome.
But so yeah, I'm turning 35 next month, and I wish I knew this at age 25.
Turn that
because,
off. What's that? Jesus.
I wish I knew that at age 25, because think about where you could potentially be if every single year you bought yourself a new investment property for little to no money down. Because the way you do it is you take the first property, that's going to be money out of your pocket. No way around it. Unless you find some investors who are going to go in with you, but then there's less profit for you. But if you're doing 3.5% down, you won't need a whole lot. Then all the money you generate from that first property, if you do like a duplex, quadplex, triplex, whatever, you take that money and you roll it into the next investment. And then eventually you get to the point where if you have enough equity in one of your properties,
Which you should,
you could eventually start using that line of credit on that property. And this is one of the things that blew my mind away that I didn't know about. And for a lot of you homeowners out there who've ever done a HELOC, you probably know what I'm talking about. The reason why you get a 22 to 28% interest rate on a credit card is because it's uncollateralized. It's not backed by anything. Yeah. It's just simply just like them loaning you money with nothing, no collateral whatsoever. When you get a HELOC, they give you a credit card up to a certain amount, depending on how much you want for the house, but up to 80% of the value of your house if you have it completely paid off. So let's say hypothetically you have a $100,000 house and has no mortgage on it. They'll give you an $80,000 credit card for like 6%. 6% compared to 22 or 28%, whatever your interest rate is on a credit card, because it's backed. Then you can start using that credit card, that HELOC, to purchase the next properties. And you just keep rolling this over and over, and to the point where it just becomes a snowball. And no money is ever leaving your pocket because
ever. You're literally leveraging the money that you have from an asset. And that home for that first home that you purchased, that you put, so say if it was a condo, $7,000. $7,000, you bought a condo, live in it for 1 year, go ahead, rent that out, buy the next home, use the equity in the HELOC, and just let it roll.
And
that's how you build a portfolio. That's how you build wealth. And the easiest way to establish wealth, in my opinion, is through real estate.
It's not just simply just real estate, but just any asset producing good that you could get out there. Yeah. And so when you go into debt for consumer goods, like Black Friday, a lot of people are doing it. It blows my mind that people will sit there and they'll get a loan for $1,000 iPhone, but they won't invest $1,000
into a home,
into a property, or into like a business or something like that. And like, we're going deeply into debt for stuff we don't need, for this stuff to impress people we don't care about, to have stuff that's gonna break down, and we're gonna end up spending later on.
You're paying for glorified cameras.
Yeah. Do we have any questions in the chat box?
No, but we did get a awesome shout out from Sean Kohler, who's saying the biggest, baddest realtor in the game. Sorry, Mike. It's not for you. And then so far, no questions right now. So, guys, anybody who's watching is just joining us. We're talking about real estate finances, how to get started, where to move. If you have a house that's with a bunch of equity and you want to, say, possibly use that equity to purchase another house, another home or property, we can show you the stepping stones. It's a lot simpler than you think, and without having to have money come out of your pocket.
I think that's one of the things that scares a lot of people. They think it's so complex, and it's
really not. You just got to talk to the people that know what they're doing, and how to do it, and we'll show you the roadmap.
Yeah, the difficult challenge in real estate today, I think the fourth challenge is just finding the properties. And especially right now, we're in a seller's market, and a lot of people assume that you could just go retail, like go through the MLS and go through Zillow, Trillia, Realtor.com, and you could just find a property and you just start lowballing offers on them. And unfortunately, you're not going to find deals that way.
Sellers are willing to wait 30 days for that asking price or over asking price finance.
Yeah, so they're gonna sit there, they're gonna wait, and you're not gonna get any good deals. And if you do purchase a property through them, you're gonna end up paying a lot more for that property, and then it's gonna take you a lot longer in order to start making a profit off of it. So,
and you have to be willing. If you're looking to be an investor, you have to be looking and willing to look outside of your own hometown. There are so many properties.
I get that all the time. They're like, I want to find something like around me.
Yeah, it's like, why? Why do you want to look for something around you? It's like, no, like if I was to live here and I wanted to, say, buy an investment property in Colorado, I will. If the numbers make sense and it's profitable, you should absolutely buy a property in Colorado. Especially like for the winter season, buy like you can Airbnb that thing.
Yeah, Airbnb that thing, and if you're gonna buy properties that are outside your jurisdiction that you can't control yourself, then you're probably gonna want to invest in a good property management company.
And that's not hard either.
Yeah, it's not that hard either. The thing with property management, like I'm the property manager for this company, and the thing with property management that you have to look for, and I see it all the time with investors, is that they simply just look for the lowest price. And you have to look for a property manager that knows what they're doing, that's going to have the skills to be able to handle those different things, so that you can literally have, because you'll hear from a lot of people, and they're like, owning property isn't passive income, and it isn't. And even if you have a property manager, you still have to manage the manager.
Yeah, you do.
You know? So you don't want a manager that you have to sit, constantly try to be writing them in order to get them to do anything, to get you information.
It's a lot of it's a relationship building too. It takes
yeah,
time.
Exactly. Yeah, it's with the property manager, you want someone who's going to give you reports every month about your income statements. That's going to be on the ball when it comes to repairs, fixing things, especially if you're not there. Like if you're in Florida and you're trying to buy in Colorado, you don't want to sit there and have a property manager who's dropping the ball and you have a leak.
And that you didn't know about for the past 2 months. And great, now instead of replacing a pipe, I have to replace a freaking drywall and the baseboards and the carpet soaked. And like, it can be nasty. God. It can be nasty, but like real estate investment is still like the most lucrative way.
I think it's the most fun way, and I would say that it's very lucrative. There are challenges, and I won't say this is super easy. Like I said, finding properties, you have to be creative about it. You're gonna have to. You may
look outside of your own hometown.
You may find something on the MLS, but if you do find like something that's a good deal, you're gonna get a billion people who are gonna like be hitting you up constantly. Yeah. Then you're gonna get and then not only you're competing with other investors who cash and they're gonna buy outright, you're also competing with every other homeowner who's in the area trying to buy as well. So some good places that I think, and you can chime in as well if you have any, is I think the Hub Store. Hubstore.com, which is run by the Urban Housing and Development. They have a store where the government, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, wherever they foreclose on these properties for some reason, and they have a whole inventory of these homes that are just kind of sitting there. Now, a lot of these homes may need some rehab and some TLC before you can put them back on the market, but you can get some really good deals there. The only problem is that you're going to have to search. You're going to have to go hunting. Another place that is pretty surprising is going to be Craigslist. You're going to find a lot of properties on Craigslist.
And a lot of frauds.
A lot of frauds, but yeah, you kind of have to sift through that. Another place I think is you can find stuff on the MLS, but you're going to have to go like really low and outside. Yes. Outside the main city core areas.
Like honestly, like Florida, I just Googled it. Like Florida has 8,436 miles of coastline. And there are so many towns with very low prices where you can buy
sleepy towns.
Believe me, a lot of people love to vacation on sleepy towns because they want a quiet place. They want just a beautiful scenic. They don't want Cocoa or Daytona. They want like a beautiful scenic, quiet beach where they can just relax for a week.
Yeah, I think at that point, it just becomes marketing.
It becomes marketing at that point, but it can be done.
Yeah.
You know, and I guarantee the house that you bought was maybe like $100,000. A nice house, too.
Yeah,
and it doesn't need to be a big one. It doesn't.
Yeah, I had a long time ago, I had a friend who they purchased the house out in Cocoa Beach, and then they started Airbnb in their home and living in a trailer.
That's one way.
They made a buku amount of money. Now, here's the issue with Airbnb. If you decide to go Airbnb style and you want to rent out a property, you're essentially becoming a hotel. Mm-hmm. So you have to have the infrastructures. If you're not getting a property manager who handles short-term rentals, you're going to have the infrastructure yourself in order to handle that. And that means cleaning up after every rental. Even if you sit it in terms of lease, it says the tenant has to clean up after they leave, you still have to go in there and you have to wash sheets. You have to do this and that.
I'm on vacation. I ain't doing that.
I ain't cleaning your house.
No.
I won't destroy it, but I'm not going to sit there and...
I mean, I'll keep it tidy, but it's like if you're asking me to wash sheets, I'm like, no, I'll take the sheets out the bed.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll throw them in the corner.
So, yeah.
I ain't washing them.
Yeah, there's a lot of infrastructure that you have to have in place, essentially doing those turn and burns. Yeah. But if you could do that, if you could manage that, it could become a very lucrative business for you. And this is based off your assets. Even if and other people I forget what the stats were. I was reading an article that was talking about, because I see this all the time, first time home buyer, they're in love. Like, oh, it's our first home. And they're like, oh, okay, so it's you two guys. Like, when do you guys plan on having kids? They're like, oh, we don't plan on having kids ever, or we don't plan on having kids until like 5-10 years or some of this. I'm like, okay, great. And they're like, so what type of house are you looking for? 3-bedroom, 4-bedroom. And I'm just like, why so many bedrooms? You know, so
well,
like
one could be an office or a den or a cave. I'm the same way. Bethany and I want a 3 too.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And the resaleability is a little bit better. But on the same token, so many Americans have just empty rooms that are underutilized. That is a possibility that instead of underutilizing it, if you're going to go 3-2, I'm not saying you shouldn't. What I'm saying is that you could possibly Airbnb one room out. And or you could like just have like some kind of long-term rental situation going on in there in order to maximize your property, because everybody's in love with the idea of getting a 3-2 instead of a 2-2.
Yeah,
and that's another one. Like, to find good deals in investments, real estate investing, you may have to go outside the box and find some creative ways. And one good thing is like, this is a tip I heard about a long time ago: look for 3 or 2-2s. But look for ones that have like a den or an office that could potentially be converted into a 3-2. And those are some of the things that you can use in order to build more equity by just changing like one room into another bedroom by installing a closet. And
taking out a wall, add a wall. I've seen a lot of garage conversions to get an extra bedroom. Like the garage would be converted and that would be your master. And then the other 2 bedrooms. And therefore it's a 3-2. But the house is still 800 square foot.
Yeah, it's
like the house itself is still 800 square foot. Congratulations, you added like a like what's the standard square footage of a garage? Like 24 by 24.
It's like 20 by 20. I think
20 by 20.
I've seen. Yeah.
So whatever really that equals out to for square footage, like
congratulations,
like half the house is the master bedroom, but the rest of the house, living area, kitchen, it's all, and the other bedrooms are just tiny.
It's tiny. Yeah.
I've seen it done. It works for some people. I think it's just kind of a bad move.
Now, the issue with Airbnb, and this is something I talked about in a video a while back, is that a lot of jurisdictions are coming down hard on Airbnb. And Airbnb just recently had to do some policy changes simply because they had a shooting out in California during Halloween. And what people were doing was that they were renting Airbnb homes out for parties. And these were becoming known as nuisance houses. And so a lot of communities, a lot of people were getting upset about this because of a lot of noise and transient people coming in. So Airbnb's changed their policy and they're switching that up. So if you do decide that you want to go Airbnb style with your rental properties, you're going to have to read the room. Like, you're going to have to see like not just what the current laws are for Airbnb or short-term rentals in your particular area, but also start looking at like what is the future like environment, the future like attitude about it. Is it an area where there's a lot of complaints and people are trying to like, you see signs saying not Airbnb in my neighborhood? Yeah,
Airbnb in particular areas definitely, it needs to make sense for the area for sure. Like if you're doing just a regular flipping and whatnot, the numbers should be all that matters.
Yeah, well, like I said, you just got to make sure that you know what you're doing when you go into those particular areas.
Of course.
Other than that, like, so besides getting started, really easy because it doesn't take that much.
It doesn't take much.
What do you?
I think an item. I was thinking number 4 item for investors. If you're flipping, kind of going back to that, I was thinking about. I'm like, what could be a 4th one? Is find quality laborers.
Oh my God. We could talk about that for a whole episode.
Yeah, that could literally be done for a whole episode because like I've literally have seen investors, spoken with investors, and walked through their house trying to help them sell it because they want to see what it's worth and whatnot. And just like the corners that are cut and the quality, it's just like what? And they're like, isn't it great? It looks great, right? Like this, I did all this on myself, and they're so proud. And it's just like, congratulations. I can't wall a bathroom. Like, I don't know how to do that, so congratulations, but it looks like shit. Like, I'm sorry. But they're like, it's also coming to find quality work. If you think you're good, go see a professional home.
Yeah, the biggest challenge for a lot of investors out there, and it's just something, if you're going to get into investing, you're going to have to build a team and figure it out.
Yeah,
is have a good team, and that's going to be tricky because you'll talk to a lot of investors, and they all have like their different methods of finding people. Like they'll go to a Home Depot like at 9 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and they'll see
who's standing
see who's
outside.
standing out there. Not standing out there, but who's working. Like
Yeah.
who's loading stuff into their truck, and who's know, because they're working early in the morning. They're what you call it. They're busy. They probably own their own business. They're small business owners, and so that's going to be a huge thing for a lot of people. Like you're going to go through a lot of contractors when this happens because you're always going to face.
Yeah, I'd rather
you're gonna
pay
face
for the
some issues.
quality. You're gonna pay for the quality of a good worker if you don't have the experience yourself. Pay for the quality of a good worker.
And I think that's another challenge is that like you're gonna have to get over your cheapness.
You have to.
Yeah, like I get it. We all have
People
bottom
see
lines.
People see the corners cut.
Well, it's not even just the corners cut. It's like you have to get over your bottom line because what's gonna make you more money? Someone comes in and they do the job right the first time, and you're good to go. But they charge you 20% higher than the lowest offer. Or you go with the lowest contractor. They do a horrible job, and you have to end up tearing that up and hiring someone else. To come
what
in
is the
there.
saying? It's like
Cheap's expensive, and expensive is cheap.
Yeah.
So like you want to sit there and get good quality work, and worry about the discounts later. Because if you work with a contractor and you're constantly, he's good, but he charges you a lot up front. You can start being like, "Hey, Bill, I use you all my jobs. Is there any way you can give me a discount?"
Yeah, like
start negotiating.
We're 5 jobs deep, man. Like I value
exactly.
you, but like, Con, I'm gonna keep you around. It's like, can we
Yeah.
work something out? Like formulate a relationship or a partnership, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So you can start negotiating those deals when it comes to that. But like, if you're sitting there and you're hiring some dude who's just like, he's like, "Hey, man, like I'll put this floor in for you, $20." He's like,
you don't. If you own a home and you're flipping it and like you see different workers every day, you better start questioning that contractor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's just like, where did this guy come from? The Home Depot wall. It's just like, he said he does roofs. He looks like he's pulling off the chimney.
All right, guys, if you have any questions about real estate
Yes.
investing, buying a house, entrepreneurship, anything of that nature, go ahead and leave in the comments down below. We're probably going to be wrapping up in the next like minute or so.
We're wrapping it up right now.
Yeah, so like I said, it's the whole point of this podcast is so we can have like a platform we can reach out to you guys. We can talk about our experiences and the things that we go through in real estate. The biggest challenge I see for a lot of people, whether they're real estate investors, home buyers, or sellers, is that there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people who are going out there and they're reading articles and seeing YouTube videos and getting misled about what the reality of the situation is. And a lot of people assume that there's a certain way to do things, and it's not that case anymore. I love coming across, I was a realtor 30 years ago.
Like, oh, that's
wow,
great.
great. That's congratulations. We've gone through like 4 or 5 different types of markets since then. Things change, and new information comes out, and we're in the field working. Chris and I are full-time realtors. We do this all the time. We work with investors. We work with home buyers. We're experiencing all the pains and the troubles and the issues that you guys are going through, or you will go through if you decide to get into real estate. But we do it on a daily basis. So we're packed full of knowledge.
Literally sitting here, I've been negotiating.
Yeah, he's been negotiating.
I've been negotiating like on my computer.
So yeah, if you guys have any questions whatsoever, feel free to hit the comment section down below, even if we go off the air. Every Saturday around 11 a.m., we're going to be going live to answer any questions. We're trying to get some guests on the show as well, so we can have different types of people who have different types of fields of expertise, so that you guys, if you want us to cover a certain thing, let us know, and we'll try to get that expert out there or in here. Or if you are expert, you want to be interviewed, hit us up. We're looking, like I said, every Saturday at 11, we're looking to do this. We do it live. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to answer or ask.
Yeah. All right, guys. You heard it here. If you have any questions, ask. And you hope you have
We
yourself
said
a
that
good
like
day.
7 times.
I know.
All right, guys. I'm Monty Mike.
Just sign off.
Yeah.
I'm Chris Noon.
Peace.
Deuces.